is late in the day and the sun has gone behind the trees, but I think the light is still good, and I'd like to give you a tour of what we call the Crescent garden. Now the Crescent bed is anchored on the southeast end with a very, very large magnolia tree. And underneath it now has become very, very shady. So over time we've ended up planting things that will thrive in more shade. Now this miscanthus grass on the corner is probably getting just enough sun. It leans out toward the sun, but every year it comes back. And then underneath the magnolia, in the deeper shade, we've got some lovely pulmonaria and some Christmas fern. And we've also got some ligularia. Now rounding the corner has got boxwood. These are Justin Brower boxwood. And behind them is the all gold Haconacloa grass. And then rising up behind that is some very tall Aruncus. Now they've finished blooming at this point, so all you're seeing is the spent flowers on them. So you notice that the Haconacloa grass is growing into the boxwood at this point, which I really don't want to have happen. They really shouldn't be touching them. So this is on my list for next spring, to get a very sharp, straight edge shovel, and I'll show you when I do it, but we will be cutting this Haconacloa grass, each plant in half, and then removing the front half and planting it elsewhere. There also was some penstemon growing here. This was Husker's Red. Now I always cut it down. I don't let the seeds go, simply because it is such a rampant reseeder. Now this is the hydrangea that I didn't know exactly what it was. The tag said that it was lace cap hydrangea, and clearly it's a mop head, but based on the leaves, I'm thinking that it's one of the ones that is in the city line group. I feel pretty comfortable with that at this point. The other thing is, it's finally gotten to the point where the flowers have gotten sort of papery, and you can feel them. They start losing some of their moisture, so it's very close to the point where I can pick it and dry it. And I'll do another video just on that. And the sentimental blue platycodon is done at this point. But you can see that we've got some sedum here. This is autumn joy sedum. That's going to be blooming soon. And here is another plant that is on my list to move. And you can see it's behind a little bit of fencing because the deer keep going after it. That is tall garden phlox. It bloomed beautifully here when the magnolia tree wasn't as big. But at this point, there's not enough sun for it. The deer keep going after it, so I'm going to move it into a fenced-in area. And behind it, that actually is the Tough Stuff Red, and the flowers were more blue early in the season, but they have shifted now to a dusky pink color. And here is our Invincible Spirit hydrangea, smooth hydrangea, and the flowers that were very pink early in the season have now turned to a very green color. But you can see I'm still getting some pink blooms, some fresh blooms popping out on it. But these are also at a stage where they're about ready to be dried, and I will dry some of those. And we have another boxwood here, a variegated variety, doing very nicely. And next to it is a large stand of sensitive fern. Now this is a little too much sensitive fern. I do like this fern, but it has been slowly growing outward. This patch has been here for quite a few years, and this is another one that I'm slating to remove at least half of it next spring and replant it elsewhere. And you can see there's a little bit of Verbena bonariensis in front of it. Some more sedum. And then this is Eveline Veronica. And this is a second flush of blooms. It bloomed earlier in the season, and now it's giving me a second flush. It's a lesser flush of blooms, but still very pretty. And next to it is a peach drift rose. Behind that is a pugster butterfly bush, and this is pugster white. I do go in and deadhead the butterfly bushes to try to encourage new flushes of bloom, and it does work. And we've also got some fall anemone. I think this is, I'm going to say it right, honorine Jolene, or is it the opposite? I'll put it on the screen. But you can see it's forming buds now, and that will actually be blooming late in the month and into September. And in front of it, some of the Helen von Stein stachys, which I really, really enjoy. And another rose. We've got some buds on this one, but that's the only one in bloom right now. And this is Peachy Keen Agastache, or hyssop. I like that one because the deer don't touch it. And now if we look above the statue, this is the PG hydrangea tree. And here it is. It is starting to bloom, and it is beautiful. This tree it's been here at least 30 years, and it is quite large at this point. Now the area that's behind the statue is an area that I have to think about what I'm going to do with next spring. There used to be a bench here. We removed the bench and put the statue in instead, but it's left an open area here, but it's in an awful lot of shade. Now hosta, probably not my best choice. We put some hosta in here, and as you might guess, my friends, the deer, were in here eating it. So even though I spray it, there's just a little too much rainy weather in between where I'm not able to get out there, and any night that it rains, they're going to come in. And what is on the ground here is all of next year's foxglove. So all of these plants that are growing now will be next year's batch of blooming foxglove. Now in the front here, there's a Nepophia that's finished blooming, and next to it is some allium. This is Serendipity. I really like this one, and I think I am going to invest in more of this next year. It's worked out very well. And then down from that is some Stokesia, Stokes Aster. This is Peachy's Pick. And they still have quite a few buds left to bloom on it. Behind it, some more sedum. And then you can see where I cut back the leucanthemum, the Shasta daisy. I do that as soon as it flowers or finishes flowering, in order to try to encourage it to flower again. We'll see what happens. And then on the second level, we've got some more shrubs to take a look at. So I think you can notice that the Crescent bed is a 2-level garden, just like the Moai bed is, with very large boulders making up the wall between the 2 levels. And you can see we've got some more Hakona Cloa grass up here. And then this is Clethra. This one is called Hummingbird. And it bloomed beautifully a little earlier in the month. It's finishing up now, but there's still tons of bees on it. I didn't realize the degree to which it would colonize. It has really increased its footprint dramatically since we put this plant in. And this is one that I'm going to try to remove maybe a quarter on either side of it next spring and see if I can kind of rein it in a little bit. Now another pretty plant here. There's a buddleia. This is Miss Molly. You can see the flowers are small on it simply because I cut the first set of blooms that had finished off of it, and I am letting it sort of regenerate a little bit, so it'll give me another flush of blooms. And down below this, there's some purple haze agastache. Also a real pollinator magnet. And then here are some more of the leucanthemum that I cut back. And I think you can see where we have new buds forming down low. And those buds will be popping up soon. And in September, we should get another set of blooms. Not as big as the first set, the original set, but I think it'll still look very nice. Now here is a shrub that I really love. This is a variegated Rose of Sharon. It's a dwarf variety. And look at those flowers. How pretty is that color? I think that is absolutely gorgeous. And up above it, you can see a little quickfire hydrangea that's on the second level. And as you notice, the color, which was white early in the season, is now changing to its signature dark pink or red color. This is another one that actually dries very nicely. You got to catch it at the right kind of level of dryness while it's on the plant, but it's one that you can keep. And here's some rudbeckia. Now this rudbeckia, again, I have it behind a little bit of fencing because the deer go after it, but that was not my problem this year. I have got 3 woodchucks in the garden, and they have been doing a number on this. They love the rudbeckia and they love echinacea, and they're sort of destroying it from the bottom. So I have flowers on top, but the bottom's not looking so hot. And then next to it is some more baby foxglove. This will again be next year's plants. And here is a woodchuck hole. And you see I had originally covered it over with a couple of rocks when they first dug it, and put some fencing down there thinking it would dissuade them. It did not. And then up above it is a bobo hydrangea, blooming beautifully. And this is a lemony lace sambucus that's kind of peeking out between them. And if you look in here, this again, there's a stone wall, big stone wall. And this is the exit hole for the woodchuck hole on the bottom. This bee balm I had put in as replacement for the very tall red native variety, which just went nuts and went everywhere. So I ended up taking it out. But this one turned out to be too short, so I'm probably going to move this to Leia's garden. And you can see there is some very nice coreopsis on this side, just finishing up. I think this is Zagreb. And then this is what happens to the incredible hydrangea. You can see that it also goes very green as the season goes on, although it still looks lovely. And here we have some Zagreb coreopsis, which is lovely. The critters don't touch it, not the deer, not the rabbits. And it does have a very long bloom time. And behind that is some bee balm, another favorite for the fact that the critters don't go after it. And next to it, some more rose campion. I like using ogon grass as ground cover in these beds, especially at the front. There's the coreopsis. And then this was a cherry blossom deutzia that bloomed absolutely beautifully this spring. Another one that the footprint of the plant is now much larger than I thought it was going to be. And I will be trying to kind of rein it in next spring. But I just want to show you, the deer do go after a lot of things that I wish they wouldn't. And you can see where they actually ate flowers right off of this incredible. I'm not sure why they thought that was tasty, but they did. And then as we come around the corner, there is some nepeta here. This is a 6 Hills Giant, a little too big for this space. Again, another one that I probably will have to deal with this spring. The blooms are done at this point. And then this is a Joe Pyeweed, and it is huge. This thing has to be 8 feet tall. Again, a little big for this space, but a lovely plant. Now behind the Joe Pyeweed, there is actually a path that it is covering, and behind the path you can see on the upper part of the garden there is some very nice Roseanne geranium. And what is right here, this is a wolf-eyed dogwood, and you can see it's in a little bit of a cage. It's been in that cage for about 5 years. We're going to be taking it out of that this coming spring. The reason, because when we planted it, it was a sapling, and the deer just savaged the poor thing. But I absolutely love the variegated foliage, and it has beautiful white flowers in the spring. But I think it's at a height now that the deer will leave it alone. Now the lady in red hydrangea on the corner has lost its blue color. It's gone to sort of a dusky pink. And we had some very, very heavy rain that really ended up knocking an awful lot of the petals off. But you can see even the hydrangea hedge on the side here. Look at that color. It really has changed as the season has gone on, from being a lighter purple to now what's kind of a burgundy color, which is still very pretty. And this is another one that's getting close to my being able to pick blossoms to be able to save for the winter. So I hope you enjoyed this little garden tour. I'm actually doing it after coming back from the beach because I've been doing that more than playing in the garden because the weather's been so hot. But I hope you enjoyed seeing the crescent bed between the hydrangeas, and I'll have some more spaces like this to show you shortly. So enjoy, and thank you so much for watching.